Boy, oh boy, do I remember the paddle back in middle school. I mean, maybe I was like I was in the seventh grade. Seventh grade year, I consider was the best year of my school life. 10th grade kind of rivals it, but at the same time, nothing won't ever compare to the seventh grade year that I had, which was exceedingly well. I loved it. I wasn't doing the best in school. I was, my mother says that I was flunking that school year, but I still was having a lot of fun that year, minus flunking and stuff. But in the seventh grade, I was doing a lot of stuff that I had no business doing, and just being bad in general. I had a crush up there, and she was real pretty to me, and I was trying to get her to rock with me for the longest. And the crazy thing about it is, with everything going on, I was trying to show up and show out just so I can try to talk to her, get her to rock with me. And that led to me getting paddled. Now, I had two best friends at the time. One of them was, we're gonna call him Robert, and the other one was Stafford. So Robert and Stafford, I've been knowing Stafford the longest. Robert, I had just met him in the seventh grade. We were kind of frenemies. We would fight sometimes. We'd be cool with each other then. We'd do this, we'd do that. We'd take up for each other sometimes. And we just being kids in general. Kids will be kids, you know that. So I remember one day in particular, Robert had done something. I was going into my fifth period class, and he walked in, and this was music class. I remember it very vividly. The summer gun was walking in class, and he was walking in, his backpack on and stuff, his eyes red, super red. I looked, I'm like, what the heck? I said, what's wrong with him? I said, did somebody die in his family or something? And another girl came in behind him that I knew, and she was just rubbing her butt like, oh man, like something had happened. I'm like, wait a minute. I said, did they get paddled? I said, because Robert was always doing something for him to get paddled back in school. I remember a few occasions I was there when he get paddled. I'm gonna touch on that later in the story. So, Robert, I'm like, dang man, I said, what's wrong? He looked at me, he was still crying. He said, the principal paddled me, man. I'm like, oh snap. I said, for real? I said, what did you do? He said, well, him and the girl that walked in behind him, they was fighting and whatnot. They weren't physically fighting, but they was arguing. And he tried to take off running from the principal when it was all said and done with. And he called him, and he messed him up. He messed him up bad with that paddle. I remember it too. And I remember when I got paddled myself, that was not pretty. I forgot what I did, but the principal I was running down the hallway. That's what I was doing. I was trying to run from him because I did something. And my crush was nearby, and I'm like, okay, maybe she see me run, then maybe she was like, oh man, he's a bad boy, this and that. And guys, remember, just be you when you're trying to talk to a girl. If you're trying to be something you're not, then it's not gonna go well for you at all. Some girls like good guys, some girls like bad guys. You don't have to change yourself up to do any of this stuff. That was me literally a few months later after I met a new crush of mine. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Robert had got paddled, and I ran from the summer gun too, right? And he caught me. He called my mama. He said, hey, Mrs. Such and such, I have Carlos here in the front office with me. I'm just so sick and tired of him always being disrespectful, running down the hallways and stuff, doing this and doing that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and bust his butt. Now, mind you, I didn't know my mama filled out the paper for me to get paddled. I thought everyone was lying about it. And come to find out, lo and behold, I'm about to get my butt busted. I was like, what? I said, you can't paddle me. And then I said, man, you can't paddle me. He said, your mother filled out the slip to where I can bust your butt. He said, I'm sick and tired of it, Carlos. I'm like, oh my God. I was thinking he was weak, whatnot, man. He called in another teacher. He said, hey, come here. And then he put him in. He told him to stand in front of the door because it was a window right there. If you could look in, you can see the person getting paddled and whatnot. And what happened was, he said, bend over. I bend over on the table, right? And he got the paddle. Now, the paddle was gigantic. I'm like, oh my God. And what made it so bad, Robert told me, he was like, man, he played baseball too. He an amateur baseball player. He don't play professionally, but he just played baseball. I'm like, oh God. I said, man, this man about to break my back, man. And then I was thinking he was weak. I'm like, it can't be that bad. The principal, he got the paddle. He reared back like he was playing baseball. My butt changed cold. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, oh my God, dude. I tell you what. I'm like, bro, my whole butt was numb. It was numb. I tried to put my phone in my back pocket so I could have it back there so it won't be as bad. And I'm like, oh my God. He found it and he took it out and he put it in this drawer till he got done paddling me. And he looked at I looked, I'm like, oh man. I stood up. He's like, you got one more lick. I'm like, what? He told me to go back to the desk and bend over. I'm like, oh my God. He got the paddle again. I turned around and he said, don't turn around. I turned back around. I looked at him. He said, don't turn around. He said, every time you turn around, I'm gonna take longer. I turned around and he said, don't turn around, Carlos. Don't turn around. I looked, I'm like, boom. Bro, I yelled. I'm like, man, I went out there and said, I was trying to keep it together because my crush was out there. Her name was Teddy at the time. And I'm like, good grief. I'm like, man, I sat there. I wasn't holding it. I was holding it together real well. She walked by. She waved at me. She walked out the door. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I did? I sat there and lightly started crying. I'm like, that hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. I don't know how to explain it, but you know when you get hit and your butt changes cold. That's how, I don't know, my butt just went numb. And a few weeks passed, me and Robert and Stafford, we're all sitting in the gymnasium, waiting for class to start and stuff. And Robert, he gets the bright idea. He takes off his belt. He looks at me, he said, hey Carlos, you want to do it with me? I'm like, do what, man? He took off his belt, right? And then he put it in his pants, and then he put it through his zipper. And then he went over to the girls. He was like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. I was thinking about doing it with him just to see if I can get. I was just being stupid. That's why I was always in trouble in school about something. He was, yeah. He was thinking it was funny. I was laughing with him. Stafford was too. Everyone was just thinking it was funny, except for the girls he went over and did it in front of. And I was looking. I'm like, nah. I said, Josh, stop. I'm like, nah, stop, man, stop. And then he looked. He was like, nah. And then I grabbed him. I'm like, look, man. I said, stop. I said, the principal looking at you, man. And then he said, look. I'm gonna grab it. He had some. He found some Cormacs, and he looked. He said, hey, guess what, man? I'm like, what? He said, after all that, he got the freaking not the Germ-X, it was lip chap. He got the lip chap, and he just, and you know what it looks like when you press down on it, you make it shoot. And then the principal called me and him over there, Carlos, Robert, come here. I'm like, shoot. I was thinking my mom was gonna beat the mess out of me because you're on that bull crap again, son. What are you doing? I send you here to get an education, not be showing off for these females. So I got pulled into the front office, right? And when I got pulled in there, I got pulled in there, and we was just sitting there. It was 2 chairs, and then they asked us what happened. I said, so what happened was Robert, he got his belt and tied it around his waist inside of his pants and put it through a zipper and was running over there to the girls and stuff, flopping it around like it was his junk. And what had happened was the principal looked, he said, I've seen all of that, Carlos. And he said, Robert, he said, come in this office right now. I was thinking he was gonna call his mama or whatnot. Then he called in a teacher. I already knew what was about to go down because the same thing happened to me like the month before. I'm like, I said, oh my God. I said, he about to get the daylights beat out of him. And when that happened, I looked, I'm like, oh man, I said, Robert probably gonna eat these joints up like it's nothing. I don't know why I was thinking I was the only weak child there at the school, but when he walked in, I heard him like, he said, Mr. Principal, look, it ain't gotta be like this. He said, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. And he was just sitting there just pleading with the guy. And then he was like, look, he said, I know you're sorry. He said, turn around towards this. And all of a sudden, pow! like this dude was screaming his lungs off. He was screaming his head off like someone had stabbed him. I'm sorry. You know how whenever we got whoopings as a kid and we was doing something, we would just yell, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I won't do it again. All I know, I heard him in the office. He was like, I know you won't. Turn back around, Robert. Turn back around. Turn back around or I'm gonna start over again. Well, they could have started over. He was talking about he's gonna take longer, how he did me. He was like, turn back around, Robert. And then he turned back around. Boom. I mean, this dude was screaming his head off. He was screaming bloody murder. I'm trying my best not to laugh. It was funny to me, but I shouldn't have been laughing in the first place because I was thinking, I'm like, man, I said I could easily be in this situation because when my mother was whooping me or something, holy crap, man, my mama did not play. She would just go ham on me. I remember one day she made me strip down in my underwears and she whooped me and shut the door while my cousins was in there. But Robert got 3 licks and he was just screaming and crying and stuff. I'm sitting there trying not to laugh and stuff because what's funny is I know what he's going through. I know the pain and stuff because it doesn't feel good getting paddled. And that I know when he got hit the first time, it didn't feel good. It doesn't feel good getting hit with a paddle at all. And after it's all said and done with, Robert comes out of the classroom, well, the front office, and he's walking with his backpack, tears coming down his eyes and stuff. I'm looking, I'm like, oh man. I said, I'm right next in line. Then here he comes with that big old red paddle, looks at me and Jones, you want some too? I'm like, nah man, I don't want none of that. I don't want what you giving out. Nope. I tried to make it my mission to stay out the front office from then on out, but I got forward in there and got paddled for something else. I don't know what I was doing. I was just being stupid back then. We was doing so much stuff for us to be getting pulled in the front office, and it was crazy stuff we was doing. We should have been never doing in the first place. But when I mean we were just being stupid, we were just being stupid, just being kids. Y'all know how some of the kids are nowadays. Y'all don't know what they doing and stuff. Like, what's going on in your head? Like, I don't even know what I was thinking back then. But I hope y'all enjoyed this life story for me about when I got paddled and when I seen my friend get paddled and stuff. But I kind of missed 7th grade, man. 7th grade was the best year of my life, but best school year of my life. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.